Hey, good people, this is your NI Dom back with another YouTube reflection, and this is a personal journal for contemplative people looking to think, grow, and have impact in the world. So, hey, I am getting ready to do a response to two people by the name of Peter and Lucy, and I don't have their last names, and so just want to apologize for that. But Peter does a podcast called Solo, and it's about living single, but I don't like that term. I actually like the term solo. So the the podcast is just about everything about living as a solo person in a healthy way. It's awesome. I, just so much I want to say about that, but that's not what I'm here for. But I've been following that podcast for about a month now. I was introduced to that by taking in some other content. And so, anyway, recently he was interviewed on another podcast called, I think, The Contemporary Spencer, where the host is called, her name is Lucy. And she allowed him to take that audio from her podcast and share it on his podcast. So that's how I heard of that new podcast. And I will be subscribing to her show because she sounds amazing. So it was a very robust conversation. And this is something I was supposed to be listening to while cleaning up today. And I just often would go to a piece of paper and write down notes and ideas. So I have 11 thoughts that came from listening to that episode that I'm probably going to reflect in the long form. I will probably do a long form reflection on it on the podcast. You're NI Down. But because I'm on a break for a few more days, I can't wait. I can't wait till August to do a long form reflection. So I'm going to try really, really hard to do a short form 15-minute reflection. It's not organized. It may sound disjointed not because it's a lot to say, but because I'm so inspired. I am so encouraged that I just have to just come in here and vomit. I'm going to vomit my feelings, if you will. So I don't know. But hey, if you're new to me, if you're new to this project, this is a personal journal where I process my inner and my outer worlds. I do so by using personality theory. The two theories that I use the most are the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram. Pushing those two systems together, I identify as an INTJ 8. I have a number of other disclaimers that I provide in the longer form reflection on the podcast. But for now, I just want you to know that my primary identity is INTJ 8. This project is unedited, as unscripted. To know more about it, feel free to go to my website at yournidom.wordpress.com. Okay? All right. I think the way I want to start this very, very short reflection, and I'm nervous because there's just so much. I shouldn't even be attempting to do a 15-minute reflection. But like I said, I just can't wait until my season 7 resumes in a few days. I think I want to start off by saying that yesterday was a pretty low day. And it was one of the lowest days that I've had in a very long time. Now, if you've been following this project, you know that it has been emotionally bumpy for me because I've gone through two storms. I have a primary relationship where the person is not romantic relationship, a familial relationship where the person was diagnosed with cancer in January. And because that person is not only primary to me, that person is primary to like this extended family. So her illness is impacting the whole family system. So whereas I would have had a support system to deal with someone close to me battling an illness, it's like the whole system is in chaos and it's burning. The whole family system is burning. And that's difficult. And then I got a job that was kind of like a dream job for me last year. I ultimately am an entrepreneur, and that is the work that is the dream job. But sometimes, and Peter actually talked about this in the segment of the conversation where he talked about reinventing yourself. Sometimes it's okay to step away and try new things. So in the process of trying to get back on my feet at the end of a relationship and trying to be explorative in terms of how I make money, how I show up in the world, I found my way into this dream job. It was amazing. And then it ended. It ended. And it didn't end where it ended for me, the organization ended. And that was another storm. And to have those two storms happening simultaneously it's just been very difficult. So all of season 6, which ran from February to June, has been about me navigating those storms. And it got pretty raunchy because I was having some family conflict. And so I came on the podcast. You got me raw and uncentered, unedited. And so I say all of that to say that for me to tell you that yesterday was a very low day that I've had in a long time, considering the season I just ended, you have to understand yesterday was very low. And actually the past week, because what will be revealed on the podcast when I resume it is that this person moved from being stage 1 cancer to stage 4, where it's no longer curable. And that was something we found out a week ago. And so it's really been me navigating that for a week. And like yesterday, I felt like I crashed. It just so many things. Anyway, there's so many things. And so yesterday, one of the things that has been so hurtful for me is this. I really feel like I'm suffering in terms of my relationship with my sister and the family in general, but really with my sister. And then at the same time wanting to celebrate her convictions, her liberation, her values and her choices. And my sister and I are very different in terms of our value set. And right now, with the stress of the family, you can see the manifestation of how different we are. Okay, let's get back to the podcast I just listened to. My sister lives a more traditional, conventional life, and I don't. And I think living in a world not knowing that there was an option to not live conventionally has been very difficult. So I have been non-conventional in a radical, fiery, confronting way. Like it's been a battle. It's been a fight. And very alone. Like, maybe it's just me, but and not even knowing that I was building this non-conventional life. I think about maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago with the podcast, I started saying I'm non-conventional. I started to embrace that. But all up until 3 years ago, everything about me has been problematic. I've been problematized. Not that I problematize myself, but living in a conventional world and not subscribing to those values and those conventions, I'm a problem, right? And so when I was younger, I tried to sanitize myself. I tried to fix myself. I was like this dead fast journey to fix me. I was broken. And throughout, particularly my mid-30s, I started meeting people that showed me, there's a different way of being. There's a different way of living. There's a different way of loving. And I would just say through my mid-30s, and now I'm 52. So I'm at a point where I can embrace, I am non-conventional. But what this podcast has done, the solo podcast in general with Peter, is that he's given me more language to understanding my unconventional nature. Definitely the language. He's given me the research. And as a social scientist, that's one of my disclaimers I didn't share with you all. I'm a social scientist and an educator. I love the data that explains to justify that I'm not the problem. You're the problem, So it's giving me the language. It's giving me the data. Has told me that there's a community out there. And really, actually, today was the first time I heard some suggestions and some tips of what to do, like how to grow. Like if you're going to be on this path of growth, which is good, be on the right path, right? And I just have never, ever had the opportunity to have those side by side. I'm a person that loves to grow, like self-improvement, self-development. I mean, even this idea of reinvention that he talked about, I guess you could say I've been doing that. I didn't use that word, but I've always been about growth and progress, self-actualization. And I've been battling this identity in the world that I'm a problem and trying to go through a healing process of being problematized by a family that's conventional and wounded, but let's just take the woundedness off. A family that's conventional, by a society that treats my body as a woman, as a black woman, in a very particular way. And so I've been doing healing work. And so be to be about growth and to be about healing and to still be non-conventional and to not still be, and to embrace and to celebrate being non-conventional. It's just amazing. It's amazing. Amazing. So yesterday when I was low, it's because of I haven't built the team. That was one of the things they talked about in this episode, that solo people need a team. That's point number 8 on my piece of paper. Solo people need a team who will support their endeavors. I haven't built a team. Now, I would say in the last 2 years, I've become aware that I need to build a team. But I have held onto my historical team, the historical people. And what Lucy says, they can affect how you feel. And so I think a lot of yesterday, and when I was low, I did do an audio reflection. It was private. I'm going to start bringing closure. So I did a private reflection with myself, and I said, I know I'm very low. This is the lowest. It's pretty scary. And some of these feelings may not even be about me. I might be picking up on other people's feelings, which I think is true. But I think I was picking up on the sadness of the conventions. That there's a convention, and that in a season of struggle, because I have not aligned myself to those conventions, I'm now suffering. It's a punishment of sort. Because I think that even if you are conventional, if you had empathy, you would still be able to support me in this. But there's no support. And I found myself saying to my family, well, I've chosen to not live a traditional life. I've chosen to have my extended family as my primary family. And I thought about it this morning. Why did you say that to them? It was almost though I expected to say that. As I said it, I expected them to have empathy, to understand. And then this morning I realized that could be the very reason why they're not supporting me, as a form of punishment for not moving about the way they have. And I've had 2 people in my family system that have given me that kind of feedback over the years. Like, you're selfish. You're selfish to not reproduce. I had somebody ask me, was I, historic, like, was I violated? Was I raped as a child? And and I'm sorry for people who have experienced that. But to my knowledge, I don't think so. But she was problematizing the fact that I wasn't on this traditional route, this relationship escalator. And so I just feel like when I found solo podcast a month ago, I was on the road traveling, and I was on such a high on that highway. It was a 12-hour road trip with me and my 2 dogs, and I was on such a high. But as I came home, I keep falling into very traditional ways of being. So I'm like straddling 2 worlds. And I think what's the takeaway for me, and I am closing, the takeaway for me is that I have to continue to reinvent myself, and not me, but the systems that I put around me, the structures that I put around me, so that I can reap all of the benefits of being solo. There are many, he said, there are so many benefits to being solo, and I'm not tapping into them because I still got my feet a little bit in traditionalism. Man, that's powerful. There's so much. You guys, please come to the podcast. Season 7 will begin in a few days. I'm going to do a long form reflection on this. But hey, if this reflection has had any value for you, please give it a heart. If this conversation about being solo and being non-conventional relates to a conversation in the world, please take this link and share it with those people. Please find me on my website at youranidom.wordpress.com. You guys, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Until I come back, be well. Bye.